31 tanks will arrive in Grafenwehr training area in Germany at the end of May, and the troops will start training a few weeks later, in preparation for the Russia-Ukraine war. In an effort to bring Ukrainian forces onto the battlefield as soon as possible, the U.S. will start training them on how to operate and maintain Abrams tanks in the coming weeks, U.S. officials said on Friday. In a continuous effort to organize the transfer of weapons and other equipment to Ukraine, defense leaders from all around Europe and the world are currently gathering at Ramstein Air Base when the decision is made. The troops will start training a few weeks after the arrival of 31 tanks, according to the officials, at Grafenwehr training area in Germany towards the end of May. According to officials, the army training will last roughly 10 weeks. The tanks that will be provided to Ukraine for use in its conflict with Russia will not be the training tanks. Instead, 31 M1A1 battle tanks are currently undergoing maintenance in the U.S. Once finished, they will be deployed to the front lines. By the time the rebuilt tanks are prepared, it is preferred that the troops are already trained so they can enter action right away. To suit Ukraine's requirements, the tanks are being upgraded. 250 Ukrainian soldiers will receive training, some of whom will learn how to drive tanks and others who will learn how to fix and maintain them, according to officials. After the first 10 weeks, more instruction on how to fight and maneuver with tanks might be given. The officials discussed information that had not yet been made public under the condition of anonymity. Up to this point, the U.S. has trained 8,800 Ukrainian soldiers who have already returned to the front lines, and another 2,500 or so are still undergoing training. Their training has covered a wide range of topics, from learning how to use simple weapons to learning how to conduct military operations and maintain and repair equipment. After claiming for months that the Abrams tanks were too complicated and difficult to maintain and repair, the administration of President Joe Biden announced in January that it would send the tanks to Ukraine. The choice was a component of a larger political ploy that allowed Germany to declare it would send its Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, paving the way for Poland and other allies to follow suit. The Biden administration said last month that it will expedite the delivery of Abrams tanks to Ukraine, choosing to deploy a refurbished older model that can be ready faster. This decision was made in response to tremendous demand from Ukraine and others to get the tanks into Ukraine faster. By the autumn, it is intended to deliver the 70-ton fighting powerhouses to the front lines. At the time, the U.S. also made it clear that it would start teaching Ukrainian personnel on how to operate, maintain, and repair the tanks. The training would take place concurrently with the tank refurbishment, ensuring that both would be prepared for combat at the same time later this year. Pentagon must simultaneously ensure that Ukrainian forces have a sufficient supply chain for all the components required to keep the tanks operational. Over the winter, the Russian and Ukrainian armies traded tiny parcels of ground, primarily maintaining a standoff. The bloodiest fighting has taken place in the eastern part of the Donetsk region, where Russia is battling valiant Ukrainian defense while attempting to envelop Bakhmut. However, it's anticipated that both sides will begin more robust offensives in the spring. The soft dirt and muck that cover the majority of Ukraine, according to the British Ministry of Defence's daily military assessment of the war, would certainly hamper operations for all sides of the fight. In other news, Ukraine's Air Force Chief, Mykola Olszczuk, claimed on Friday that he had been to a Patriot missile system recently delivered by the U.S. that had been placed in a combat zone. The Patriot's arrival was reported by Ukrainian authorities on Wednesday. The Ukrainian military reported Friday that self-exploding Shahid drones developed in Iran were used by Russia in a nighttime strike on Ukraine. According to the General Staff of Ukraine, 8 of the 10 drones that Russia attempted to launch at Ukrainian targets were shot down by Ukrainian air defenses. In the last 24 hours, at least 6 civilians have died and another 6 have been injured in Ukraine, according to a report released on Friday morning by the country's presidential office. Russian shelling and missile attacks, according to Ukrainian officials, mostly targeted cities and villages in the conflict-ridden, partially occupied areas of Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. On Thursday, the Russian military also used mortars to target the Chernihiv province outside of these areas. Russia sent out drones to strike Kiev, Poltava, and Vinnytsia over the course of one night.